Okay, I'm recording this after I already filmed the first part of the video, the actual reading. But Rowan's corpse is described as maggot-filled, and I'm not sure if that could be triggering for some people. I don't know, but if it can, I'm just going to already add this warning that it's described as maggot-filled, and it is kind of gross, even if it's brief. So you don't have to click on this one if it disturbs you. Also, I said my username on AO3 was 12345 underscore. I couldn't think of a name, but it's just 12345 underscore couldn't think of a name. I didn't have my computer on me at the time, so I didn't see the username. I am going to be reading An Open Grave by 12345 underscore I couldn't think of a name. Also, I'm going to tell you all that in my document, in my Google Doc, I read this all in Comic Sans. Just to let you all know. Just to tell you. Now I'll get on with the actual video. Rowan was dead and buried. Well, his body was dead and buried. His soul was not. He was conflicted whether he was grateful for that or not. On one hand, he got to live in some form, even if no one alive could see him. On the other hand, he was cursed to be alone forever, the only company being his own corpse, due to the fact that other ghosts either didn't exist or were ignoring him. He wanted to check if they did, in fact, exist, but didn't, because that would be an invasion of privacy, and his mom might have killed him, but she raised him better than that. He floated down into his grave to look at his corpse, the only entertainment he had. His corpse was rotting and maggot-filled, something he wasn't sure was normal. He'd only been dead 3 weeks? He'd lost count, and there wasn't really a calendar in the graveyard. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of grass being walked on above. That must have meant there was a person up there. There hadn't been one of those in a few days. He flew up and saw an old man standing about 10 feet away. He had gray hair and a gray beard. He was wearing all black and had his hood up. In one hand was some rope. In the other hand was a shovel. Why did he have that? Maybe he was the guy who dug up graves. Maybe he'd be getting a new friend soon. He almost let out a squeal at the thought, but kept it in. The other ghosts, if they did exist, already didn't want to be around him. He didn't want to give them an actual reason to not want to be around him. The old man, who he decided to call the Gravedigger to give him a cool title, walked over to his grave. Rowan was confused for a second before deciding he was probably going to turn. There was a lot of empty spaces around, which meant his new friend would be really close to him, and he'd actually get to see them and hopefully touch them if they existed. He didn't know if he could even touch other ghosts, but still, he'd have a friend soon. The Gravedigger stuck the shovel right into Rowan's grave. What was he doing? Was he robbing his grave? No. He shook his head, trying to shake the thoughts away and convince himself it wasn't true. Maybe he was just giving his grave new and improved soil, even though he didn't have a single bag of soil. Just as he started to come up with an explanation, a logical, normal one, the Gravedigger. No, the grave robber dug up his coffin, the fragile coffin that contained his rotten, maggot-filled body. Rowan watched helplessly as the grave robber jumped into the grave, wrapped the rope around his coffin, and pulled it out of the grave. The grave robber dug himself out of the grave and dragged the body and Rowan's spirit away.